Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 12. Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. Tatranu Deva Prabaro Chaturbhujau Shamo Kishora Arunam Bhujekshanau Sthitav Avastabhya Gadam Subasasho Kirita Harangada Charu Kundalo. Tatranudeva Prabaro Chaturbhujau Shamo Kishora Varunam Bhujekshanam Sthitava Vastabha Gadam Subhashasho Kirita Harangada Charu Kundalo. Tatranudeva Prabaro Chaturbhujau Shamo Kishora Varunam Bhujekshanam Sthitava Vastabhya Gadang Subhashasho Kirita Haranga Charu Kundalo. Tatranudeva Prabaro Chaturbhujau Shamo Kishora Varunam Bhujekshanam Sthitava Vastabhya Gadam Subhashasho Kirita Harangada Charu Kundalo.
Tatranudeva Pravaro Chaturbhujau Shamo Kishora Varunam Bhujekshanau Sthitava Vastabhya Gadam Subhasasau Kirita Harangada Charu Kundalau.
Tatranudeva Prabharo Chaturbhujau Shamo Kishora Varunam Bhujekshanau Sthitava Vastabhya Gadam Subhashasho Kirita Harangada Charu Kundalo. Tatranudeva Prabharo Chaturbhujau Shamo Kishora Varunam Bhujekshanau Sthitava Vastabhya Gadam Subhasasau Kirita Harangada Charu Kundalo.
Mataji. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
तत्रानुदेवा प्रवरौ चतुर्भुजौ श्यामौ किशोरावरुणाम्बुजेक्षणौ तामवष्टभ्य गदां सुवाससौ
Tatra, there, Anu, then, Deva Pravaro, two very beautiful demigods, Chaturbhujo, with four arms, Shyamo, blackish, Kishoro, quite young, Aruna, reddish, Ambuja, lotus flower, Ikshano, with eyes, Sthito, situated, Avashtabhya, holding, Gadam, clubs, Shubhashasho, with nice garments, Kirita, helmets, Hara, necklaces, Angada, bracelets, Charu, beautiful, Kundalo, with earrings. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Dhruva Maharaj saw two very beautiful associates of Lord Vishnu in the plain. They had four hands and a blackish bodily luster. They were very youthful, and their eyes were just like reddish lotus flowers. They held clubs in their hands, and they were dressed in very attractive garments with helmets and were decorated with necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. Please repeat after me. Dhruva Maharaj saw two very beautiful associates of Lord Vishnu in the plain. They had four hands and a blackish bodily luster. They were very youthful, and their eyes were just like reddish lotus flowers. They held clubs in their hands, and they were dressed in very attractive garments, with helmets and were decorated with necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The inhabitants of Vishnu Loka are of the same bodily feature as Lord Vishnu, and they also hold club, conch shell, lotus flowers, and disc. In this verse, it is distinctly stated that they had four hands and were nicely dressed. The description of their bodily decoration corresponds exactly to that of Vishnu. So the two uncommon personalities who descended from the airplane came directly from Vishnu Loka or the planet where Lord Vishnu lives. Tatranudeva pravaro chaturbhujo Shamo kisharavaranam bhujakshano Sthitavavashtabhya gadang subashasho Kirita harang gadacharu kundalo. Dhruva Maharaj saw two very beautiful associates of Lord Vishnu in the plain. They had four hands and a blackish bodily luster. They were very youthful, and their eyes were just like reddish lotus flowers. They held clubs in their hands, and they were dressed in very attractive garments with helmets, and were decorated with necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. So, the time came for Dhruva Maharaj to leave the planet. Our material body has a specific duration. Like Jatasya Dhruvar Mrittur. Whenever one is born, he is bound to die. Dhruva Mrittur. It is not that the devotees don't have to leave their bodies. Nobody comes here to live eternally. Some people live for a very long time, like the other day I think here only the point came Ashwatthama, or was it in Bombay? Anyway, the point came up, Ashwatthama being so had such a long life. Then in this way there are personalities who have a very, very long life. They live for a very, very long time. But that is not desirable in many cases. Because what's the point in living in this material nature, which is not a very pleasant place to live in for a long, long time? Bhishma Dev also had this kind of benediction, that he was supposed to die. He had the benediction from his father, boon from his father, that he would die only when he wanted to die. Materially, it's a wonderful blessing. But when you go back to the past, then you can see, was it a blessing or was it a curse? It was a curse of Vasishta. The Ashtavashus, the 8 Vashus, stole Vashishta's cow, Nandini. And when Vashishta found out, he cursed them. Go to Earth planet. Take birth as human beings. You are not fit to live in heavenly planet. So when the Vasus got to know about the curse, they immediately came to Vashishta Muni and begged him, please forgive us, please forgive us. We made a big mistake. We won't do it again. But Vashishta said, since I have said it, since the word has come out of my mouth, it is not going to go in vain. So you have to take birth in the heavenly planet, in the earth planet. But so right after your birth you will be delivered. You have to take birth, but immediately after your birth, soon after your birth, you will be released from the curse. But the one who stole the cow, he'll have to stay there for a long, long time. And the Vashus approached Mother Ganga and begged her, because they didn't want to come to the womb of any other human being. So they are demigods. So they requested Mother Ganga to be their mother, to carry them in her womb. So Ganga agreed, and what happened? Right after the child was born, Ganga threw the child in the river. What a cruel act. The mother killing her own baby in this way. But actually it was the arrangement from before. But then when the 8th one was born, that was Bhishma Dev, then Shantanu, his father, begged Ganga, his wife, now why are you killing your children like this? Spare this one. Don't kill this one. So she said, fine, I won't kill him. But I'll leave you, because that was the condition. So Ganga actually came to fulfill some purpose, to give birth to these children. And Now that all eight of them are born, Ganga now is ready to leave. And not only this child was to live for long time, but his father gave him a benediction that you will not die unless you want to die. So he became kind of immortal. Materially, it is a very wonderful situation. Bhishma became immortal. But if we go back to the past life, it is a result of a curse. Stay in the earth planet for a long time. So, materially, it may seem that it's a very wonderful situation to live in the earth planet for a long time. But when one has a better situation, why should we worry? Now what happens to a devotee? Devotee doesn't die. Because the devotee is spiritually situated, he is in his spiritual awareness, he doesn't die. He simply changes his body. Tatha dehantara praptir. So in a way we can see that Dhruva Maharaj is, from materially seeing him, they were seeing that he is dying. But what was Dhruva Maharaj seeing? A beautiful chariot came to take him. And in the chariot there were two very beautiful personalities. Those two personalities are very special personalities. Very special personalities. Like they look exactly like Vishnu, exactly like Narayan. There are two of them. They were Shamo. They were Chaturbhujo. They had 4 arms. Chaturbhujo. And their complexion was Shamo. Their complexion was like Krishna's complexion. Kishoro. Their features were like youthful. They were quite young. Kishoro. This age, Koishor, is around 15, 16. Navajovanancha. Navajovan. Just about to enter into youthful age. From adolescence coming to youth. That is the most beautiful age. At that age, the boys and girls look most beautiful. The boys look very handsome, girls look very beautiful. Why? Because that is the age of that is the appearance of that is the feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We gradually grow to that age, but Krishna is always like that. And all the residents of Vrindavan are always like that. All the residents of Vaikuntha are always like that. Especially the residents of Vaikuntha, these two personalities actually came from Vaikuntha Loka. And what is their thing? They had Sharupya. Nanda and Sunanda, they had the similar feature as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there are 4 kinds of liberations. Those 4 liberations are Sarupya, Samipya, Salakya, and Shashti. Sarupya, Roop means the features, same as the Lord. Samipya, to be able to stay very close to the Lord, to be with the Lord all the time. Salakya, to reside in the same planet as the Lord. and Shashti, to have the opulence same as that of the Lord. So these are the situation of a liberated soul in the spiritual sky. The residents of the spiritual sky, they are all liberated souls. Nitya Mukta Jivas. In the material nature, we are Baddha Jivas, conditioned soul, and in the spiritual sky, they are liberated souls. Those liberated souls have these features like that of Krishna. They stay Krishna or Narayan. They reside in the same planet as Narayan, and they have the similar opulence like that of Narayan. But they don't misutilize those opulence for sense gratification. There is no sense gratification. Material world is the world of sense gratification. Spiritual world is the world of, who will say? Huh? Spiritual world is the world of service. Material world is a world of sense gratification, like trying to give pleasure to our own senses, and spiritual world is the world where everybody is trying to give pleasure to Krishna's senses. And by doing that, they achieve their spiritual perfection. I mean, they derive the spiritual joy. They're already perfected. That is their swabhavik vritti. That is their inherent characteristic. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. To serve the Lord of the senses with the senses is the devotional service. Bhakti means to serve the Lord of the senses with our senses. We have our senses. Now what is the purpose of these senses? To gratify the senses? For our pleasure? No. The purpose of our senses is to give pleasure to Krishna. Service to Krishna. And when we serve Krishna, then our senses become perfectly engaged. And then only we can get the real enjoyment. We cannot enjoy separately from Krishna. Our enjoyment is subordinate to Krishna's enjoyment. We become engaged in giving pleasure to Krishna, and we get inconceivable pleasure. The real pleasure comes from that. The result of devotional service is, as we sing every day, Romancha Kampashrucha Taranga Bhajo. Ecstasy. And these ecstatic experiences. It is not that the devotees don't enjoy. Devotees' enjoyment is the real enjoyment, is inconceivable enjoyment. It is so delightful to render service to Krishna that the hairs stand on end. In ecstasy, these are the symptoms. Tears come from the eyes. Body begins to tremble. One cannot stand on his own leg anymore. He falls off. He faints. So why does this happen? Because of this ecstasy. Because of experiencing of this transcendental joy that one experiences, this bodily transformation, or this joy of the heart becomes manifest in the body in this way. The heart becomes so full of joy that the hairs stand up. There is, and the Bengali expression for that is pulak, pulakita. In Hindi also, I hear so many have names like Pulkit. So Pulkit, the word Pulkit, what is the symptom of Pulak? Romancha. romanchakam pashu taranga bhajo. The body stand on end. There is another time when the hair stand on end. When? Out of fear. When one sees a ghost. He also feels these symptoms, but those symptoms are just the opposite. When one sees a ghost, he also starts to tremble. Or out of fear. But these are the ecstatic symptoms. This ecstasy or joy is not experienced through the senses. Where is the joy felt? The joy is experienced in the heart. And then the senses respond to that feeling of joy. In this way, the body begins to tremble, the hair stand on end, tears come streaming down the eyes, and one faints in ecstasy, in this joy. He becomes transported to another world. And as a result of that, there is no consciousness of this body. The body lies there like a dead body. But the person actually is transported to another world where he experiences this joy with being with Krishna. So Krishna consciousness is actually a journey, an internal journey. Body has its purpose, body has its meaning, especially human form of life is very, very rare, very special. Labdha shudur labhamidam bahusham bhavante. After many, many possibilities, bahusham bhavante, after many, many different types of bodies, we got this human body. Jaloja Navalakshani. There are 9 million, no, not 9 million, 900,000 aquatics. Thavara Laksha Vingshati. The trees and plants, thavar means the living entities that cannot move. There's trees and plants. There are 20, or rather 2 million, 20 lakhs. In this way, there are 11 lakhs birds and 30 lakhs, no, then 10 lakhs insects and worms. And 20 lakhs, was it 20 lakhs or 30? 30 lakhs animals. And only 4 lakhs human beings. So after all these possibilities, we got this human form of life. And this life provides the opportunity to become free from material bondage. And we are seeing, these are the examples. Why is it important to study scriptures? Because from the scriptures we get the right examples. Here we are getting the examples of Dhruva Maharaj. He was a prince, but in a very difficult situation. Born of a king, but his mother was not the favorite of the king. And his stepmother was a very envious person. And the king was attracted to his younger wife, second wife, Dhruva Maharaj's stepmother. And as a result of that, his mother was practically treated like a maidservant. although he was born as a son of a king, but he was in a very, very unfortunate situation. So we can see, like, Dhruva Maharaj was an ordinary person, rather unfortunate person. The father rejected him practically. And his stepmother was extremely envious and wanted her son to become the king. So she was making arrangements in this way that Dhruva will not be regarded for the throne at all, because in the Vedic culture, the elder son becomes the ruler. The elder son inherits the father's property. So this envious personality, the queen, she wanted to make sure that Dhruva is not at all regarded as the successor to the throne. And Dhruva was insulted so badly because he saw his brother was sitting on the father's lap, so he also wanted to sit on his father's lap. But his stepmother said, you can't. In order to sit on your father's lap, you have to be born from my womb. Sometimes people become very envious, and when they become envious, they become very cruel. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. And little boy was so hurt, just a 5-year-old boy. Crying, he went to his mother. And can see his mother was a very exalted personality. And actually when people get into distress, they become broad-minded. When people enjoy, they become narrow-minded, they become cruel. Therefore suffering in a way is good. When one suffers, the heart becomes purified. Suffering causes the heart to become purified. Like it is said that suffering is like fire. Just as fire purifies gold, suffering purifies the heart. Therefore we see Krishna makes devotees to go through suffering. Like Pandavas went through so much suffering. Here we are seeing Dhruva Maharaj is going through suffering. In this way sometimes people think, oh, don't become a devotee of Krishna, then you'll suffer. And it's true, in a way. Devotees suffer, devotees of Krishna suffer, devotees of demigods enjoy. Like we see, Krishna's devotees go through so much suffering, but Shiva's devotees enjoy. But we can see that Shiva is udasin. He is completely renounced, detached. Whereas Krishna is the source of all opulence. Krishna is the source of opulence, but his devotees become poor. Shiva doesn't have anything, but his devotees become rich. But actually what happens? The worshippers of demigod get material benefit, whereas the worshippers of the Supreme Personality of Godhead get spiritual benefit. Now those who are interested for spiritual benefit, why should they be interested about material enjoyment? But one can enjoy in the material nature, but at the time of death, if they suffer, then what will happen? Which is a better proposal? To suffer here and enjoy after? Or enjoy here and suffer after? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying The happiness in the mode of goodness. Happiness in the mode of goodness is that it's like poison at the beginning and nectar at the end. That's the result of not suffering actually. The devotion, to be the result of being in the mode of goodness. The activities in the mode of goodness. The activities in the mode of goodness is like poison at the beginning, nectar at the end. And activities in the mode of passion is like nectar at the beginning, poison at the end. Passion means enjoyment or involvement in the material nature. Those who are in a mode of passion, they enjoy before, suffer after. Whereas those who are in the mode of goodness, they suffer at the beginning and enjoy after. Now out of these two, which one is desirable? Obviously, the one in the mode of goodness. Like we see on a day-to-day life also. Somebody suffers, goes through difficulties. Like we see in our studies. Those who study throughout the year, it's a kind of suffering. Other boys are playing, going to discotheque, going to parties. And these boys, they are diligently studying. It seems that they are suffering. Getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and preparing their homework. Whereas the other boys just came back from the discotheque at 2 o'clock in the morning. And they sometimes laugh at them. Hey, goody goody. Good boy. But when the exams come, then what happens? Those who have gone through the suffering to prepare themselves nicely, they come out with good results. And those who haven't, they fail. And not only they fail in their exams, they fail in their life also. Similarly, we can say that when one becomes a devotee, there is suffering, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. Now these are the enjoyment in the material nature. To go to the restaurants and eat all kinds of things. Sometimes people travel from one country to another country to eat something, eat meat. Sometimes people fly to China, Hong Kong, to eat the brain of a monkey. So these are their enjoyment, meat eating, intoxication. It's such a common thing nowadays. There are so many bars, so many this kind of joints where they go to drink. And now drinking, of course, is nothing. They are taking drugs, heroin, morphine, cocaine. But the devotees abstain from all that. Devotees abstain from these activities. It's a kind of austerity, it's suffering. But the end result is, we are seeing what happened to Dhruva Maharaj. The end result is, the chariot comes from Vaikuntha. And for those who are trying to enjoy in the material nature, what will happen? What will they get? Somebody will come for them also. Jamadutas will come. Jamadutas will come with a noose in one hand and a whip in another hand. So they'll put the noose around the neck. One may say, well, these are all fairy tales. And our answer is, okay, we'll ask you at the time of death. Who came for you? They don't take the gross body, they take the subtle body. They put the noose around the neck of the subtle body. The subtle body also has a body. And this subtle body doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave this body. But they force the soul out of the body with the subtle body. And when they don't want to listen or comply, they whip him. And then they take them to Jamalaya. Jamraj will judge them. Oh, so you have done all these things. So this is your punishment. This is your punishment. So these descriptions are there in the 5th canto. There are so many hells. Kumbhipak, Raurab, Oshipatra. Now one may say, well, that is like a dream. Subtle body, it's not so important. But the thing is, when it happens to you, even in the subtle body, it will happen to you. When your subtle body is cut into pieces, you will feel that your body is cut into pieces. When you see a nightmare, how do you feel? When you go through a nightmare, you feel the suffering. And fortunately, since you have a gross body, you wake up in the gross body and you feel relieved. Oh, the dream is now over. But when you don't have a gross body, then what will happen? When you don't have a gross body, then you won't be able to wake up in a gross body. All these subtle experiences will become real. Subtle body will go through these experiences, but they will be real for you. You will suffer. On the other hand, when one becomes a devotee of Krishna, we are seeing what happens. The chariot comes from Vaikuntha Loka to take him to the spiritual world, the world of joy, the real situation of the spirit soul. The spirit soul is a real personality, and he is elevated now to the spiritual world. And there he will be with Krishna. And Krishna will take care of him in all respects. Like the real experience is the spiritual experience. What we are going through these material bodies, gross body or subtle body, is like a dream. Yes, it's like a dream. But just as in the gross experience, although we know that these are not real, but still we go through these experiences as real. When somebody beats us up, then do we say, oh, it's a dream? Or you feel the pain? Because your consciousness is in the body, so whatever you go through in the body, you go through that experience as reality. Similarly, when you enjoy with this body, you enjoy. So happiness and pain both are experienced through this body, gross body. The happiness and pain will also be experienced through the subtle body. But the real happiness, that is called ecstasy or bliss or ananda, will be experienced only through the spiritual body. What we are hankering for will be achieved only through the spiritual body, in the spiritual sky, along with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what we get to know when we study the scriptures under the guidance of a qualified teacher, like Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada's purports are giving us such wonderful realizations. Therefore, study the scriptures very attentively, very carefully, and try to derive the proper understanding from the scriptures. Dhruva Maharaj is a real personality. He had gone through his life. Like as I was saying, suffering at the beginning. In mother was stepmother was very envious, subjected him to so much humiliation. But then that drove Dhruva Maharaj towards Krishna. So that's why suffering is desirable. Painful experiences are desirable because when you are hurt, then we think of Krishna. When you are enjoying, then you forget Krishna. Therefore suffering is desirable. So that we can remember Krishna more and more, as Kunti Devi is praying. Give us this suffering more and more so that we can remember you, so that we can take shelter of you. And then he is blessed by the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj is now blessed by the Lord. And we can see how destiny acts. His stepmother wanted her son to become the king, but now her son is dead in a battle with some Jakshas. And whom she was so envious of, Dhruva Maharaj, that person alone went to take revenge against the Jakshas. You kill my brother, I will kill all of you. That was Dhruva Maharaj's stand. And alone he is fighting with the entire army of Jakshas, entire community of Jaksha. And he is killing them, left, right and center. Such a powerful person, alone. Although sometimes he is covered by their arrows. Like so many arrows have fallen on him, it seems that now he is defeated, he is dead. But then Dhruva Maharaj rises out of that, subduing all those arrows. Such powerful personality. And he was in such a situation, such a state, that Brahma saw that all the Jakshas will be finished. There won't be any Jaksha left in the world. So he came to pacify Dhruva Maharaj. Why are you doing that? Just because of your brother has been killed, that doesn't mean that you should wipe out the entire Jaksha community. You be merciful unto them. And anyway, you have given vent to your anger, you have taught them a nice lesson, and now cool down. And Dhruva Maharaj accepted the words of his superior. And in this way, we can see what an amazing personality he is by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he retires, although he was the king of the entire planet. At one point, he says, okay, now let me become absorbed in devotional service to the Lord. He goes to Badarik Ashram and he begins to perform his spiritual life there. And now he's seeing, now the chariot has come to take Dhruva Maharaj to the spiritual sky, the perfection of life. From this, we learn how to mold our lives, what to do with our lives, what should we do? Who should be our ideal? Dhruva Maharaj or some materialistic person? No. Those who study scriptures, they begin to understand, they begin to realize who should be their ideals and how they should lead their lives. Personalities like Dhruva Maharaj, personalities like Arjun, personalities like Yudhishthir Maharaj, personalities like Prahlad Maharaj should be the ideal, should be our role model. They should be the role model. Their lives should be the ideal lives to follow. Then what happens? Then at the end of our life, we'll also achieve perfection. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Brajendra Krishna Das. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. What will be the destination of a devotee who practiced spiritual life under the guidance of spiritual master but still had material desires while leaving the body? Well, even if somebody did not achieve perfection but sincerely practiced spiritual life, Krishna will take care. Also, you see, the life is as such by nature's arrangement that we gradually, when we practice the proper path, when you practice the proper process, then nature also makes arrangement. Like for example, you see, when one is young, naturally the mode of passion is prominent in that body. So he wants to enjoy the material nature, he may not be that fixed up. But then gradually when he becomes old, the passion wears off and he becomes more and more fixed up. And in this way finally the body's attachment will reduce, and at the time of death, one will be considerably free. That time, you see, what is the hindrance? The hindrance is a desire for sense gratification. But when the body becomes weak, the desire for sense gratification also withers, provided one is following the path in proper association. Therefore, it's important to always remain in the association of devotees. That, as a good devotees, association will guide us, will lead us to become more and more fixed up. Girish from Gurgaon. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. When we read Prabhupada's books and scriptures, how do I ensure that I am studying them and not reading them like an ordinary book? So Girish, the answer to the first question is that, to kind of sincerely study, attentively study, is obviously different from just reading, casual reading. Casual reading also has its benefit, but studying is more intense. And so when you are studying, make it a point, when you are reading Prabhupada's book, make it a point to sit with pen and paper and take notes. When you get some important point, take note. So that will be the difference between casual reading and serious studying. My second question is that I don't get any question after reading, then does it mean that I haven't read them properly? Either you didn't read them properly or you did not understand what you are reading. So if you understood something, take note of that. Similarly, if you didn't understand something, then also take note of that. Any other question? Yes?
Well, thank you for the wonderful class. And Guman, you explained how what was the apparent benediction in the case of Bhishma Dev, actually the curse in the past. But also that same thing also became a benediction apparently because see, out of the 8 vasus we don't hear about the other vasus, we hear mainly about Bhishma Dev. And he executed in Krishna's pastimes also. and in this
Yeah,
way he became
good,
a Mahajan.
good point. Yeah,
So ultimately it turned out to be a benediction.
right. Good point. Very good point. This actually indicates that when one gets cursed by a pure devotee, it turns into a benediction. Like Nalakuver and Manigriv, cursed by Narad Muni. But Kuberatma jo baddha murtaiva jadvat tayamachito bhakti bhajo kritaucha. Just as you delivered the sons of Kuvera and gave them prema bhakti, please bestow that kind of benediction upon me also.
Who is Vasusreshta? Like, is it Bhishmadev or is it Agni? Because in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that Vasunam Pavakaschasna. And so is it that or is it Bhishmadev?
Bhishma Dev, I forgot the name of him as a Boshu. What is the name? I forgot. Huh? Du. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Du, right. So, Pavak is one of the Vashus, but this is not Bhishma Dev.
So Vasusreshta is referred.
Vashishreshta can be Bhishma, it depends on how you're looking at it. If you look at the Vashus, then Agni is the Vashishreshta. But if you look at it from spiritual point of view, then Bhishma Dev is the Vashishreshta. Agni Dev is not a Mahajan. Bhishma is. Yes, Radharani?
Guru Maharaj, can you comment on the statement that I may have suffered in the hellish planets, but because I don't remember, it doesn't matter? In other words, one only responds to what one remembers.
Yeah, that's okay. But do you want to go through that experience again? So it's better to remember. But the thing is that devotional service is so exalted and it takes you to another realm. Then all these suffering conditions become. It's like Prabhupada is giving the example, like when you wake up from a dream, does the dream bear any significance anymore? No. So similarly, whatever we go through in this material world, whether in heaven or in hell, when we wake up in our spiritual awareness, spiritual consciousness, then they become like a dream and they disappear.
Sometimes when preaching, sometimes when teaching, when people, when we talk about, karmic reaction and so on, they don't take it seriously because they say, well, who remembers what you go through in heaven? Who really knows?
Okay, you may not remember, like somebody may have stolen money and went through the prison terms. He may not remember his prison terms, but if he steals money again, then he will be subject to the same condition. Now the point is, do you want to be in a suffering condition? Do you want to be punished? Therefore, for them, this punishment has to be so serious that they jolly well remember it. Yes?
Because we see in Bhagavatam that certain pastimes have been stretched to some extent and certain pastimes have been skipped. For example, in Dhruv Maharaj's life, he was benedicted to reign for 1,000 years. But nothing about his kingdom has been described.
Yeah. Bhagavatam just deals with the main important points. Bhagavatam in a way is summary. Can you imagine Krishna's pastimes? How endless they are. But Bhagavatam describes them only in 80 chapters. What is this 80 chapters of the 10th canto? So we have to understand there. But in Puranas we get descriptions, detailed descriptions. A little more detailed description. But we have to understand that Bhagavatam is giving the essential teachings, what is important for our spiritual advancement. And the details will come, if necessary. Yes, Suman?
When you say danger that, or actually, can one positively practice devotional service without necessarily acting in such a righteous way as Dhruva Maharaj acted or the Pandavas acted? Because there's a danger, especially in Kali Yuga, if you act in that kind of way, you can get cheated, and also because of the association is so degrading a lot of the times that you may not be able to act on such a sort of high platform. So can one still make spiritual advancement, practice devotional service without necessarily acting in those sort of high
Yeah, sure. You see, like it's an individual journey. Not that everybody will go through the same experiences. A small people will have some smaller experiences towards in his devotional course, and big personalities will have big experiences in their devotional course. Like for example, Pandava's activities have been recorded. Other devotees' lives are not recorded like that. Why? Because they are such illustrious personalities.
in the sense that if, for them, like often when their enemies wouldn't necessarily fight back, whereas say perhaps, I don't know, maybe in Kali Yuga,
It will depend upon one's nature. Like for example, Krishna is provoking Arjuna to fight. Whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, don't take any weapon. For Kshatriya like Arjuna, it's good to fight. But for cowards like us, it's better to retreat. And in Kali Yuga, everyone is, weaklings. Everyone is a coward. Everyone is, there is no bravado, there is no heroism in the individuals in the age of Kali. And you can see the way they fight, hiding behind, using these weapons of mass destruction. Even the warriors, even the soldiers, the generals, they are not in the front. They are in the bunkers. Right. Whereas in the Vedic time, the generals are up in the front. And they're guiding them. And they're fighting also at the same time. Yes?
In the answer of one question, like you said, even at the time of death, if we have material desires, still we should leave it to Krishna. Like Krishna will arrange the proper things. But when in my case I see so many anarthas are there, so they become so concerned ki so many facilities and pure devotees association, everything is there, still we are not so now when so many anarthas we see, then we become so concerned ki in this life not sure we will go to Krishna or what will happen.
It will happen by natural course of time. Now you are 25, you are thinking in a certain way. When you become 75, you'll think in another way. Right? So with time, our body will change, our nature will change, the influence of the modes will change. And on top of that, practicing of devotional service will purify. The purification may not come overnight, but we have to have the confidence that we found the right path. We have found the right process. And if we practice the process, then the result will be there. So we should diligently practice. Hare Krishna.
We say that when we are suffering, we are deprived of devotional service. So how we should take in a positive way the suffering are positive for us?
I couldn't get that. No.
When we are suffering, we are deprived of devotional service.
When you are suffering, why? No, not necessarily. If you are fixed up, rather when you are suffering, you will remember Krishna even more. You may say that when your body is suffering, body is sick, you may not render service through your body, but with your mind you can render service to Krishna. Right? In your mind you can depend upon Krishna, in your mind you can pray to Krishna, in your mind you can chant the holy name of Krishna. So when one becomes fixed up, then even if your body suffers, the mind becomes agile.
हरे कृष्णा गुरु महाराज जी दंडवत प्रणाम। गुरु महाराज जी जैसे श्रील प्रभुपाद ने हमें बहुत ही सरल मार्ग बता दिया भगवतम जाने का कि 4 नियमों का पालन करो, 16 माला का जप। और भी इसे इसकी व्यक्तिगत हमें शास्त्रीय अध्ययन करने क्यों बोल रहे हो, जैसे छोटे अनर्थात से पार आओ, जैसे विनम्र बनो, ईर्ष्या से मुक्त हो, सहनशीलता लाओ अपने अंदर। अगर हम इतना आपकी कृपा से सिंसियरली फॉलो कर ले तो हमारे बहुत ही सरल भगवतम जाने 4 नियमों का पालन, 16 माला का जप। बाकी करने क्यों बोल रहे हैं सर?
बाकी ऐसे ही हो जाएगा। हाँ, 4 नियम, केवल 4 नियम पालन ही नहीं, साधुओं के संग में रहने का भी निर्देश है, प्रभुपाद जी के ग्रंथ पढ़ने पाठ करने का भी निर्देश है। ये जब प्रभुपाद जी के ग्रंथ जब पाठ करोगी तब प्रभुपाद जी का निर्देश मिलता रहेगा, पता चलेगा क्या करना चाहिए क्या करना नहीं चाहिए। बल्कि ये 4 नियमों का पालन, ये जो है, ये 4 नियम अगर पालन करते हो, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र जप करते हो, तो बाकी सब ऐसे ही होता रहेगा। हाँ।
जैसे गुरु जी पहले तो अनर्थास तो दिखते नहीं थे, तो अभी अनर्थास दिखने लगे कि हाँ मेरे अंदर ये अंदर, तो सारे समय चेतना मेरी उसमें रहती, मैं इतनी बुरी हूँ, मेरे अंदर ये, मेरे अंदर वो रहे, मेरे अंदर मैं भगवान के पास जाने की जितनी इच्छा बढ़नी चाहिए तो वो तो कम हो, जैसा कम होगी और अपने अंदर ही बहुत नेगेटिव सोच आती है मेरे अंदर कि मैं ऐसी, और कोई तारीफ भी कर देते, कोई डिवोटी वगैरह मेरे बारे में, तो मुझे लगता है मेरा हंसी मजाक कर रहा है, मेरी मजाक उड़ा रहा है, तो उसको मैं सही रूप में उस चीज को नहीं कर पाती।
तो ठीक है, मजाक उड़ाने दो, जितने उड़ाएंगे उतना ही तुम आगे बढ़ते रहोगे। Okay, there are quite a few questions from the internet today. Let me see. Gunjan Vyas, Ujjain. Who is Gunjan?
The student Guru Maharaj, he is helping in GC.
Okay. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. My question is, although my family members are chanting and doing devotional service, after that me and my family are not advancing in spiritual life. What should we do? You see, your spiritual advancement is something that you will not understand whether you're advancing or not. Rather, it will make you feel in a reverse way. As you advance, you will think that you are going back. As you advance, you will see how much more to go. Right? So don't worry about that. Just continue to read Prabhupada's books and take his direction, take his guidance. Be in the association of devotees, continue to render service. Like, you see, spiritual life works in a reverse way. When you start your spiritual life, you think you are the best devotee. That's what happens, not only to you, with everybody. The third class devotee, Kanishta Adhikari, what is the symptom of a Kanishta Adhikari? Archayam eva haraye pujangja shraddhaye hate natad bhakteshu channeshu sa bhakta prakrita smitaha. Natad bhakteshu channeshu. He doesn't recognize the other devotees. Why? Because he thinks that he is the only devotee. Not only the best devotee, but he is the only devotee. No one else is a devotee. That is the neophyte stage, beginning stage. Then as he advances, then he begins to recognize who is a devotee and who is not a devotee. And then at a Uttamadika stage, he thinks that everybody has become a devotee, only he couldn't become a devotee. So the sign of Uttamadikari is that he thinks that he couldn't become a devotee. But actually he is the best devotee. So this is how you can see that devotional service, in devotional service, the feeling moves in a reverse way. A neophyte devotee thinks that he is the best devotee, and the best devotee thinks that he couldn't become a devotee. Aditya Narayan Das from Hillsborough, North Carolina. Oh, it's late, Aditya. It's 12 o'clock midnight. Thank you. Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. You mentioned that suffering purifies the heart like fire and gold. But for sadhakas, when we experience suffering, our natural tendency is to pray to Krishna to take away the suffering, or many times the suffering disturbs our sadhana and chanting. So the statement that suffering purifies the heart is more applicable for advanced devotees? Well, yes, it's good for both advanced and neophyte devotee as well. Because by going through the suffering condition, he becomes more fixed up. Because, as you were saying, he prays to Krishna. That means his faith in Krishna is increased. Because he is praying to Krishna. Otherwise, probably he wouldn't pray to Krishna. But now that he is suffering, he is praying to Krishna. And asking Krishna to relieve him from the suffering condition is also good. Because that is increasing his dependence upon Krishna. What is better? I don't care about my suffering, I will face this difficulty myself, or I surrender to Krishna and pray to Krishna, 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 please help me. So out of these two attitudes, which one is better? According to scriptures, depending upon Krishna is better. And in this way, you go through a suffering. Suffering comes to remind you of Krishna. And what to speak of advanced devotees, as you were saying, that the suffering purifies the heart, is more applicable to advanced devotees. In response to that, I was saying that it purifies the hearts of everyone. When you go through suffering, even a non-devotee's heart becomes purified through suffering. Because when he goes through the suffering, he understands how painful it is, and he makes it a point not to cause any suffering to others. He becomes generous and broad-minded. Like we see that the people, those who never suffered, they become very cruel. They have become very insensitive. Whereas those who have gone through suffering, generally, they become kind and generous. And as far as dependence upon Krishna is concerned, like more we depend upon Krishna is better for us. The cowherd boys and the cowherd girls, whenever they're in difficulties, what they're doing? Indra came to destroy Vrindavan. What did the devotees do? Ran to Krishna. They're pure devotees of Krishna. But they ran to Krishna, praying, Krishna, Krishna, save me. My question is that there are difference between soul and the subtle body. Yes, the soul is spiritual identity, and the subtle body is a material body made of three subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and false ego. Whereas the spirit soul is beyond that. It's spiritual. Wow, Surit Krishna Das from Sydney. Thank you, Surit Krishna. What time you have? It's not bad. Your time is 2:30 in the afternoon. Lunch break, yeah? Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In neophyte stage, the aim to go back to Godhead is all right. The nectar of devotion teaches us that pure devotional service should be without any motivation. So what should be our approach? In neophyte stage, the aim is to go back to Godhead. Yes, at a neophyte stage, because his consciousness is material, he wants to go back to Godhead. But in advanced stage, when his consciousness becomes purified, then he begins to see that the situation that he is in is spiritual. Therefore, to him it doesn't matter whether he is here or there. Because here also he is rendering service, and as a result of that he is in the spiritual world. For him, this world is not material anymore. For him, this world is spiritual. Because he is rendering service to Krishna. It has become spiritualized. And he simply depends upon Krishna. Whatever Krishna puts me in, I will continue to render service unto him. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare.